Hello, good evening, everyone. So once again, I welcome all of you in today's current affairs session. Okay, so today is 21st of November 2025. Okay, so in today's class, I will be discussing very thoroughly what has been in news. Okay, yesterday I told you some important things about presidential reference, and I told you that I will discuss this article tomorrow, because it was yesterday only I knew that today there is going to be some great things in news regarding that presidential references. Okay, so that's actually happened yesterday. Supreme Court has dispensed with that judgment regarding presidential reference. Whatever questions were referred by the president, they have been replied by the Supreme Court. Okay, so in today's newspaper, mostly I will discuss the judicial reference, presidential reference to judiciary, and what are the implications, what Supreme Court has said, and how does it happens, under which constitutional provision it happens. Okay, then I will also tell you that how trade relations between India and USA are improving. Then I will also talk about free trade agreement between India and Israel. Okay, and then towards the end of the session, I will talk about one important topic in medical science, that is pharmacogenetics. Okay, or pharmacogenomics also. It is also known as pharmacogenomics. Okay. Then I will also talk about something which is called as dark pattern guidelines for e-commerce platforms. Okay, so these are the topics which are very, very important, and also some important topic about 8 core industries in India and how their performances have remained stagnant. Okay, so 21st of November 2025 current affairs. Okay, let me start with the decision, with the with judiciary's point of view regarding the presidential reference. Okay, now what is judiciary's point of view regarding presidential reference? First of all, I will tell you what has judiciary done yesterday. Okay, judiciary has basically the question is about presidential reference. Before discussing in detail what judiciary said, I will discuss in detail what is a presidential reference. Okay, so for presidential reference, I am writing it here. Please understand what is presidential reference. What is presidential reference? Presidential reference comes out of Article 143 of the Constitution, and that has also been covered by the news. If you see here, it is Article 143 which has been highlighted. Okay, now what does Article 143 says? Article 143 says that whenever President needs clarity on certain laws, President can in written write it to Supreme Court or Chief Justice of India that clarity on following laws is required. Okay, now is it necessary for Supreme Court to reply to that? Supreme Court may also avoid replying, because 14 questions were sent by respected President Draupadi Murmu to Chief Justice of India, G.R. Gawai. Okay, out of 14 questions, 12 have been 11 have been fully responded, 1 partially, and 2 questions have been not responded. Supreme Court has opted not to respond because they are not relevant to subject matter. Okay, so first of all, you must remember that President may refer cases to Supreme Court of India or to the judiciary under Article 143 for clarity. Okay, President refers matters requiring clarity to Supreme Court. Why? Because Supreme Court is also called as final interpreter of the Constitution. Supreme Court is also called as final interpreter of the Constitution, means final interpretation to the Constitution is to be given by Supreme Court. Now, whenever Supreme Court sits for giving judgments on constitutional matters, so first of all, what Supreme Court does in that case, Supreme Courts make a larger bench, that is of a 5-judge bench, which is also called as Constitution Bench. Constitution Bench usually takes care of the matters which are related to constitutional interpretation. So in this case also, Supreme Court framed one bench of 5 members or 5 judges. Okay, and then decisions were given. Okay, now why under Article 143, which type of questions were sent to judiciary? The questions related to questions related to, the questions were related to governor and state government interplay. State government interplay means how governor should function in relation to the state government. Now, why these questions came into news? Because if you remember, in April 2025, Supreme Court gave a judgment that governors should decide on the bills which are referred to it by state legislature. Governor should take a decision within 3 months. Means Supreme Court gave a timeline. And this is nowhere in the constitution written that judiciary can fix a timeline for governors to take a decision on the bill. Okay. Then President sent a letter to judiciary, referred the questions to judiciary, that what are the options available with governor under Article 200. Okay, what is Article 201? What are the options available under various other articles? Okay, so all the questions have been serially replied. So it means the basic is this April 2025 Supreme Court judgment which fixed 3 months timeline for governors to respond to the questions. Okay, now what judiciary said in this case, that first of all, judiciary has said that governor is referring the bills to president and there is no decision on the bills. So much of time passes and the bills remain pending with the governor, which means elected state government is facing pressure because governor is not passing the bill. Usually what is the lawmaking process? Lawmaking process is that state legislature discusses the questions, the laws, discusses the laws. When the laws are under discussion, they are not called laws, they are called bills. State legislature discusses the bills and then passes the bills. When the bills are passed, they are sent to governor for its signatures. Unless governor signs the bills, it will not become a law in the state. In the same way, unless president signs a bill, it cannot become an act. An act is a law actually. So, and unless president signs a bill, it cannot become a law. You get the point? Now, governor exercises powers under Article 200. Under Article 200 of the Indian Constitution. Now, this is the first question which President Draupadi Murmu has asked from the judiciary, that what are the options available with governor? Supreme Court has replied that governor has 3 options. Governor has 3 options. The first option is give assent to the bill. Second option is send back the bill for reconsideration. Means send back the bill to the state legislature for reconsideration. The third option is reserve the bill for presidential consideration. Reserve the bill for president's consideration if it involves significant matter of public importance, urgent matter of public importance. Now, what the governor in what the government of Tamil Nadu alleged, that governor has kept most of the bills pending and either they have been sent for presidential assent. Governor is not actually giving assent, rather keeping the bills pending, not sending back to the legislature for reconsideration or sending to the president for reconsideration. Supreme Court in April 2025 gave decision that governor or president must dispose these bills within 3 months, because governor should not sit on the bills. This will stall the legislative process and the lawmaking process will not function as it is. Okay, so see, this is the question. What are the constitutional options available in front of the governor? What are the constitutional options available before the governor when the bill is presented? So, to assent the bill, or to reserve the bill for presidential consideration, or withhold the assent and return the bill to the state legislature for reconsideration. This is the first thing. Second thing is, when a bill is sent to governor by council of ministers or cabinet, by the cabinet, Is governor bound by the aid of council of ministers, by the advice of council of ministers? Supreme Court says that governor is not bound by the aid of council of ministers. Governor enjoys discretion in certain cases, and is not bound by advice of council of ministers. Please remember. Okay. Second question was, governor is not bound. This is the reply of Supreme Court. Governor is not bound. Governor enjoys discretion. This is the point here. Okay, governor enjoys discretion and is not bound by aid and advice of the council of ministers. Okay, then the third question was that when governor exercises its constitutional discretion. Discretion means by choice. If governor refuses the assent, if governor does not want to give the assent because it is an option under Article 200, so is it subjected to judicial review? Can judiciary review this, that governor is not giving assent? Supreme Court said that governor as a person cannot be taken into judiciary, but governor as a post can be taken to judicial review, and limited powers can be exercised by Supreme Court when governor is not dispensing the normal duties. This is in the interest of complete justice. Okay, so what Supreme Court said, that the discharge of governor function under Article 200 are not justiciable. We cannot say he is exercising discretion, you cannot take it to the court, why is he doing so? But inactivity, he is not doing anything. Inactivity is questionable. So, glaring circumstances, indefinite inaction means for a long period you are not doing anything. Indefinite inaction, the court has limited powers to issue mandamus to the governor to decide within the reasonable period. Okay, now what is mandamus? Here one more term which is in news, in limited powers of issuing mandamus. So what is mandamus? You might read in polity, there is a concept of writs. Writs means orders of court. Okay, so in one form of writ is mandamus, which means we command. Mandamus literally means we command. Means Supreme Court can tell other bodies that you have to perform these duties, you are not performing them, please perform your duties. Under the writ mandamus, directions to perform the duties can be given. So Supreme Court says under Article 200, governor has the choice, but the choice to not do anything is not a choice. मतलब choice है आप assent दे दो या बिल वापस भेज दो स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर के पास या प्रेसिडेंट की तरफ रेफर कर दो उसकी रिकंसिडरेशन के लिए, लेकिन आर्टिकल 200 में ये कोई चॉइस आपके पास है ही नहीं कि आप बिल पे कोई एक्शन ना लो, बिल पे बैठे रहो. ठीक है, इसलिए क्या कहा कि लिमिटेड पावर है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास कि वो मैंडेमस का रिट इशू कर सकता है. ठीक है, फिर तीसरा क्वेश्चन है, इज आर्टिकल 361 एन एब्सोल्यूट बार ऑन जुडिशियल रिव्यू इन रिलेशन टू एक्शंस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अंडर आर्टिकल 200? क्या आर्टिकल 361 which gives discretionary powers to president and governor, okay, क्या इसका जुडिशियल रिव्यू कर सकते हैं? ठीक है, सॉरी, इट गिव्स इम्यूनिटी टू प्रेसिडेंट, ओके, as well as governor. Article 361 gives immunity. So please remember all these articles which are in this news item. Okay, so Article 361 gives immunity to president and governor. Then how can judiciary initiate proceedings? Then Supreme Court says that Article 361 is not an absolute bar on judicial review. For personal capacity, an individual can review in relation to personally, subjecting the governor to judicial proceedings. Okay, so it is not personally I cannot call governor for judicial proceedings, neither president. Supreme Court says that governor and president in personal capacities are not bound, they are immune. Judicial proceedings cannot be initiated, but it is against the office we are initiating the proceedings. Office of governor, because office of governor is delaying the passage of bill. So on that, judicial review or judicial action can be initiated. Then next question is that Can timeline be imposed under Article 200? President is asking, can we impose timeline on governor whether you have to perform duties in this much time or not? So Supreme Court categorically says that we cannot say anything about this because Constitution is silent about it. But using our normal common sense, using the legal rational composition of humankind, we can understand that if Constitution has not fixed a timeline, that does not mean that a bill comes to you today and you don't take any action for next 5 years. So Supreme Court says Constitution is silent about it. Okay. Now, in the exercise of constitutional discretion by President under Article 201, is it justiciable? Is it justiciable? Now, they say that the governor's as well as president's assent is not justiciable. Means you cannot question it in court. Okay. Article 201 says that whenever a bill comes to presidential consideration, president can give the assent, president can withhold the assent, or president can send back to the state. So his presidents and governors thinking and rational behind doing any action cannot be questioned. उसका चॉइस है, उसको नहीं लगा वो बिल सही, उसने वापस भेज दिया, या उसको सही लगा उसने एसेंट दे दिया, इसके ऊपर आप जुडिशियल रिव्यू नहीं कर सकते. समझ रहे मेरी बात को? लेकिन अगर कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा, दैट इज अंडर द प्रीव्यू ऑफ जुडिशियल रिव्यू. ओके. देन another question, is president required to seek advice from the Supreme Court and is president bound to seek advice from Supreme Court whenever governor sends a bill to the president? गवर्नर ने अगर स्टेट का कोई बिल प्रेसिडेंट की तरफ रेफर किया तो क्या प्रेसिडेंट को हमेशा सुप्रीम कोर्ट से पूछना पड़ेगा क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट कैटेगोरिकली सेज दैट प्रेसिडेंट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू सीक एडवाइस ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट. सुप्रीम कोर्ट. ओके. क्यों? क्योंकि सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट इज सफिशिएंट इन दैट केस. जब प्रेसिडेंट सेटिस्फाइड है किसी डिसीजन से, दैट इज सफिशिएंट. सुप्रीम कोर्ट से एडवाइस लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है. अनदर क्वेश्चन इज कि आर डिसीजंस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट एंड प्रेसिडेंट अंडर आर्टिकल 200 एंड 201 justiciable at the stage of anterior law becoming at the stage of anterior into the law coming into force? अभी लॉ बना नहीं है. लॉ से पहले ही आप प्रेसिडेंट का या गवर्नर का एक्शन जो है क्या उसको जुडिशियल रिव्यू कर सकते हो? इज इट जस्टिसिएबल? जस्टिसिएबल मींस एनीथिंग व्हिच कैन बी पुट बिफोर द कोर्ट. ओके. इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जवाब क्या है? बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग जवाब है कि लॉ जब तक लॉ ना बने तो हम लॉ को क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते. लॉ इज नॉट जस्टिसिएबल. लेकिन इनएक्टिविटी ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट एज वेल एज इनएक्टिविटी ऑफ गवर्नर इज क्वेश्चनेबल. ठीक है. तो क्या कह रहे हैं? द डिसीजंस ऑफ गवर्नर एंड प्रेसिडेंट अंडर आर्टिकल 200 एंड 201 आर नॉट जस्टिसिएबल. जो डिसीजन है वो जस्टिसिएबल नहीं है. लेकिन इसका यह मतलब नहीं है कि आप कभी भी जो है कितने भी टाइम के लिए एक बिल के ऊपर बैठ जाओ. मोर ओवर बिल के कंटेंट्स को हम अभी जज ही नहीं कर रहे कि उस बिल में है क्या. क्यों? क्योंकि वो अभी लॉ नहीं बना. बिफोर एनी बिल बिकम्स अ लॉ इट कैन नॉट बी टेकन टू कोर्ट. व्हेन अ बिल बिकम्स अ लॉ उसके बाद हम उसके ऊपर कोर्ट में ले सकते हैं उसको चेक कराने के लिए सही है या गलत है व्हाटएवर. लेकिन व्हेन इट इज अ बिल यू कैन नॉट टेक इनटू कोर्ट. सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज क्लियर अबाउट इट. मोर ओवर गवर्नर क्या डिसीजन देता है सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज क्लियर अबाउट इट कि वी विल नॉट टिंकर इनटू इट. ओके. अनलेस इट इज चैलेंज्ड बाय समवन इन जुडिशरी. प्रेसिडेंट का भी अपना डिस्क्रिप्शन है, दैट इज नॉट चैलेंजेबल. लेकिन चैलेंजेबल क्या है? अगर उसके ऊपर बैठ जाए और कोई उसके ऊपर डिसीजन ना लिया जाए. ठीक है. देन नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, कैन द एक्सरसाइज ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बाय प्रेसिडेंट और गवर्नर बी सब्सटेंशिएटेड बाय एनी मैनर अंडर आर्टिकल 142? यहां पे आपको आर्टिकल 142 को समझना पड़ेगा. क्या है आर्टिकल 142 क्या है और आर्टिकल 142 को लेकर क्यों हमने ये क्वेश्चन लिया है. ठीक है. आर्टिकल 142 के अंदर में क्या क्वेश्चन सुप्रीम आर्टिकल 142 इज बेसिकली डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट कोई भी जजमेंट पास कर सकता है किसी लॉ को इंप्लीमेंट करवाने के लिए, किसी ऑर्डर को या किसी डिक्री को इंप्लीमेंट करवाने के लिए. तो क्या सुप्रीम कोर्ट उस आर्टिकल के तहत गवर्नर या प्रेसिडेंट के खिलाफ भी कोई ऑर्डर पास कर सकता है? उन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसमें क्या जवाब दिया है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पावर्स जब प्रेसिडेंट या गवर्नर एक्सरसाइज कर रहे हैं तब उनके खिलाफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट आर्टिकल 120 142 का यूज नहीं कर सकता, अपनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशनरी पावर्स को यूज नहीं कर सकता। और अगर 3 महीने में कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया गवर्नर ने या प्रेसिडेंट ने, उसको भी हम ये नहीं मान सकते कि ये बिल पास हो गया। तो डीम्ड एसेंट का कॉन्सेप्ट दिया था अप्रैल 2025 की जजमेंट में, किसने? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने। तो डीम्ड एसेंट वाला कॉन्सेप्ट जो है टेक्निकली सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यहां कहा कि ये वाला कॉन्सेप्ट हम अब विड्रॉ कर रहे हैं। मतलब कि जब आप 3 महीने गवर्नर या प्रेसिडेंट एक बिल के ऊपर कोई एक्शन नहीं लोगे, उसका यह मतलब नहीं है कि बिल पास हो गया, ठीक है। लेकिन एक कॉमन पार्लेंस से हम ये कह रहे हैं कि बिल के ऊपर इतनी ज्यादा देर तक बैठना नॉर्मल लेजिस्लेटिव प्रोसेस को हैम्पर करता है, ठीक है। और एक और क्वेश्चन है कि कोई भी लॉ जो स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर ने लॉ बनाया, ठीक है, क्या वो गवर्नर की एसेंट के बगैर, क्या वो गवर्नर के सिग्नेचर के बगैर लॉ बन सकता है? कैटेगोरिकली सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा नहीं बन सकता, पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, ठीक है। और उसके बाद क्वेश्चन क्या है, क्वेश्चन नंबर 13 क्या है कि अगर 145 क्लॉज 3 के व्यू में अगर देखा जाए, क्या ये मैंडेटरी नहीं है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के लिए कि वो हायर बेंच कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करे ऐसे क्वेश्चंस के ऊपर डिसीजन लेने के लिए, जो क्वेश्चंस जैसे गवर्नर बिल के ऊपर काफी देर से बैठा है। अब यहां पे आपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के आर्टिकल 200 को क्या करना है? चेक करना है। तो क्या ये मैंडेटरी नहीं था आपके पास कि आप 5 जज की बेंच बिठाते अप्रैल में, जब 3 जज की बेंच आपने बिठाई थी? तो उस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट का क्या कहना है कि ये मैंडेटरी है किसी भी कोर्ट के लिए कि पहले डिसाइड ये करो कि क्या सच में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का कोई मैटर इसमें इन्वॉल्व है। तो उनको लगा कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का मैटर नहीं इन्वॉल्व है। अगर बिल के ऊपर गवर्नर इंडेफिनिट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम के लिए बैठ रहा है तो ये तो सीधा सीधा समझ में आता है कि ये चीज नहीं कर सकते। गेट द पॉइंट। तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मैटर उन्हें पहले नहीं लगा, अब लगा कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मैटर्स आ गए सामने, तो हमने जो है इसका जवाब दे दिया, ठीक है। ओके, यहां पे थोड़ा सा याद रखना, व्हाट इज आर्टिकल 145 क्लॉज 3? आर्टिकल 145 क्लॉज 3 जो है वो रिलेटेड किस चीज के है? वो रिलेटेड है कि जब भी सब्सटेंशियल क्वेश्चन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आ जाए या सब्सटेंशियल क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉ आ जाए, उसके लिए मिनिमम जज जो होना चाहिए वो 5 बेंच की जज बैठनी चाहिए। आर्टिकल 140 इट इज अबाउट आर्टिकल 145 क्लॉज 3। It says that a minimum number of judges to listen to a constitutional case shall be 5. Get the point? Okay. So उसके बाद सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसके ऊपर जो है कोई जवाब नहीं दिया कि हम जो है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल केस सुन रहे थे या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल केस नहीं सुन रहे थे। सो सुप्रीम कोर्ट रिजॉर्टेड नॉट टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन कि क्या ये जरूरी था कि 145 क्लॉज 3 में हम देखते कि 5 जज वाली बेंच ही जो है गवर्नर का केस सुननी चाहिए, ठीक है। उसके बाद क्या सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास ये पावर है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में कि जो प्रोसीजर को चेक करे, प्रोसीजरल फॉल्ट को चेक करे, ठीक है। क्वेश्चन क्या है? डू द पावर्स ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट अंडर आर्टिकल 142 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लिमिटेड टू मैटर्स ऑफ प्रोसीजरल लॉ? वो कह रहा है कि ये क्वेश्चन बड़ा ओपन एंडेड है। मतलब प्रोसीजरल लॉ के प्रोसीजर्स को कभी कभी हम प्रोसीजर भी चेक करते हैं, कभी कभी हम कंटेंट चेक करते हैं, कभी कभी हम उसका जो है क्लॉज चेक करते हैं, कौन सा क्लॉज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को वायलेट कर रहा है। तो इट इज एन ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन। सुप्रीम कोर्ट अगेन सेड दिस कैन नॉट बी आंसर्ड इन स्मॉल शॉर्ट वर्ड्स। ओके, अब लास्ट क्वेश्चन है कि क्या क्वेश्चन जो है, क्या सुप्रीम कोर्ट को सेंटर स्टेट डिस्प्यूट अगर रिजॉल्व करते हैं, ठीक है, रिजॉल्व करना है, तो क्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट को सिर्फ आर्टिकल 31 में पावर 131 में पावर दिया या नहीं? ठीक है। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या कहा कि ये भी इररिलेवेंट क्वेश्चन है और फंक्शनल क्वेश्चन है। तो यहां पे प्रेसिडेंट ने क्या एक और आर्टिकल जो क्वेश्चन में लाया है, वो कौन सा आर्टिकल है? इट इज आर्टिकल 131। What is this article? This article empowers the Supreme Court. It is the original jurisdiction of Supreme Court to take decisions on disputes between center and states, or two states, or some states and other entities. Okay, 2 or more states, center or 1 or more states. It is the original jurisdiction and exclusive jurisdiction of Supreme Court. This is article 131 for you. ठीक है। अब आपके इससे रिलेटेड जितनी भी न्यूज आएंगी आज के बाद, यू विल नेवर फॉलो फेस एनी प्रॉब्लम टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट न्यूज एंड टू टेक एनी कॉल ऑन दैट न्यूज. ठीक हो गया. सो प्रेसिडेंशियल रेफरेंस and also in relation to the judgment of Supreme Court where it fixed the timeline for the governor and then related matters all are discussed. ठीक है. यहाँ पे तमिलनाडु गवर्नर केस of April 8. Okay. So this is how it has been questioned and it has been challenged. Okay. Now moving ahead, the next thing which we will be discussing is about 8 core sectors in Indian economy which have shown worst performance in last 14 months. First of all, you have to understand what are the 8 core sectors. What are the 8 core sectors? Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. I will tell you all the 8 core sectors and why they have shown in October zero performance, approximately zero. It does not mean all have gone down or all have shown stagnant performance. It means some might have shown great performance, some might have shown worst performance. Neutrally, when we say in clubbed manner, all 8 core sectors have shown least performance. What are those 8 core sectors? One is coal, one is crude oil, okay, coal, crude oil. Then there is also natural gas, coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery products. Okay, then there are fertilizers, refinery products, fertilizers. Then there is steel, then there is cement, then there is electricity. These are the 8 core sectors. Okay. Now there is one index in our in the economic survey. Every year the data is presented in that index, that is called as index of industrial production. If you see these 8 core industries constitute how much percentage of index of industrial production? They constitute approximately how much? I will write on the board, 40.27%. 40.27% of index of industrial production. Now, please understand few things about index of industrial production. Sometimes in prelims they ask you that what is the contribution of industry in index of industrial production. The index of industrial production is a measure which tracks basically how industry sector is performing in the country. It tracks the output, also the various industrial outputs and industrial segments like mining, etc. Apart from the 8 core sectors, it also tracks some other industries including mining industry, manufacturing industry, electricity, etc. Get the point? Now, who publishes this index for industrial production? Index for industrial production is published. It is under the aegis of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay, it is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, where it is made. It is published. Okay. Now, why it is necessary to see this index? It is necessary because it will help policy makers to take decision on industrial policy. If it is going down, then if index of industrial production is going down, then it will show that industrial performance is poor. We need to work on index of industrial production. Okay. So under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, there is one office that is called as Central Statistical Office, CSO. Okay, Central Statistical Office or Central Statistics Office. This office prepares index for industrial production. Get the point? Okay. Now in this, sometimes UPSC asks contribution or share. Which sector has how much share in index of industrial production? I told you only 8 core sectors have how much? 40.27% weightage. I am writing here the whole weightage of all the sectors, because it is not written in the newspaper, so it is basic, so you might take it from here. Weightage, first of all, mining has how much weightage? for 14.37%. 14.37%. Okay, 14.37. Okay, then manufacturing sector in totality it has 77%. I'm writing it here. Mining 14.37% weightage. Then manufacturing sector has the highest weightage. That is how much? 77.63%. 77.63%. Okay. Then electricity has how much percentage? 7.99%. Electricity has 7.99% weightage. This is the weightage. Now, these 8 core sectors, some are from the manufacturing sector and electricity is altogether separately. From manufacturing sector, this 42.7% is from the manufacturing sector itself, because mining is a separate sector, it is not in the core sector. Core sectors are only this much: coal, crude oil, natural gas, fertilizers, refinery products, steel and cement, and electricity. Now, one interesting question: which of these sectors have shown positive growth and which of these sectors have shown negative growth? And in nutshell, in October it has shown a flat growth, means zero growth in industrial sector in the month of October. Okay, now I will tell you here, you will see that steel, cement and fertilizers and refinery products have been grown. Okay, so steel has grown, cement has grown, refinery products has grown, and also one more sector, fertilizers, have grown. Okay, these sectors have been growing. Okay, which one? Fastest growth has been registered by fertilizer sector. Fastest growth has been registered in fertilizer sector. Okay, but which sectors have shown decline? Which sectors have shown decline? The decline is in the coal sector. So decline I will write with red. Okay, coal sector has shown a decline. Downwards arrow means decline. Okay, then also after coal, another sector which has shown downward trend. Yeah, steel sector grew at 6.7%, and then second highest among the 8 core sectors. Okay, but which sectors have shown downwards? Another one, coal, crude oil, and then also natural gas has shown downward trend, and electricity as a sector has shown also downward trend. Okay, now which sector has contracted the most? Coal has contracted the most, means coal has shown highest decline. Coal sector has shown highest decline. Among the 8 core industries, coal sector has shown the highest decline. Okay, after coal, natural gas and then crude oil, these have also shown significant decline. Okay, so now what does this mean? This means that 40.27% of our industrial sector has not performed in October very properly. Okay, now there are no reasons given into this. The reasons are only given that steel, cement, fertilizers, these sectors are growing because of the infrastructure growth. Okay, but coal sector, related to environmental consideration, coal has not been able to grow very properly. So is crude oil also. Crude oil also due to international factors of disruption in the supply chains. Okay, natural gas also because of disruption in supply chains. So this is why various sectors have shown decline and few sectors have shown growth. Overall, in 14 months, worst performance in the month of October. So this is basically fodder material for your mains answers. Okay, here onwards you will be able to properly answer the question about index on industrial production. For prelims, index on industrial production is published by Central Statistical Office, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. One more point, 2011 and 12 is the base year for index on industrial production. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, now next is as trade row is US approves sale of missiles to India. Okay, it is very rudimentary news as of now. it is not a ripe news as of now, because just approval has been given that India's trade relation with USA are improving after the 50% tariffs by the Trump 2.0 regime. Now, after Delhi and USA started talking to each other, USA has now approved sale of missiles. Important is which missiles are being sold to India. The first is Javelin missile, Javelin missile, Javelin missiles. Okay, then also Excalibur projectiles, Excalibur projectiles. Once a detailed news on this comes, I will explain what are Javelin missiles and what are Excalibur projectiles. But interesting to know is that this deal is going to be 92.8 million US dollars. 92.8 million US dollar defense deal. Okay, defense deal with India, between India and US. Then it was continued that this deal comes 3 days after India announced conclusion of its talks with United States. Okay, it is a first one deal was recently Indian oil companies signed a deal with USA that we will import LPG. So two deals now. One is LPG import deal, LPG import by Indian oil companies. Indian oil companies. This is a first of its kind since more than a decade, and this is another great deal after the Trump tariffs. This will send a positive sentiment in the Indian markets, and Indian markets may pick up anytime soon. Okay. Moreover, the government has requested to buy 216 Excalibur projectiles, and also there is also one number given that India has requested to buy how many? 100 Javelin rounds, 1 Javelin missile. Okay, so this is what are these Javelin missiles, what are Excalibur projectiles. I will discuss once a detailed news comes on this. I will discuss. What I wanted to highlight here that trade relations between India and USA, you can keep a track of events. After the implementation of 50% Trump tariffs in September 2025, Indian markets have started, showing pressures. That's why I told you India is also searching alternate routes, trade routes of import and export apart from Russia and USA. India is expanding to UAE and other areas also. Okay, but this is a positive news that we will have great potentialities in future in terms of positive market sentiment and also stable trade relations between India and USA. It has diplomatic strategic as well as diplomatic manifestations also. Diplomatically, India getting closer to USA means that all those fake news which was spread, like USA diplomatically is distancing from India, USA is not supporting India, like all those news like that, they will settle now. Get the point? Okay. So we will come to next news. India and Israel ink terms of reference for free trade talks. Terms of reference for free trade talks. Please understand, interesting thing I'm going to tell you about free trade talks. What are free trade talks? When two countries are in talks with each other for reducing trade barriers so that trade can be facilitated between both the countries. These are called free trade talks. What are these talks going to be and how these talks will be carried out and what areas we will ensure free trade? We make a blueprint that is called as TOR. That is called as TOR, means term of reference. Term of reference means what we are going to do. This is called a term of reference. Once we sign the term of reference, means we are ready to go for talks. If terms of reference are signed, means we are ready to go for talks. Then we will go for talks. After talks, if the talks succeed, then we will go for a deal. And that deal is called agreement. That deal is called as agreement. If the talks are about free trade, and then the agreement will be called as free trade agreement. then the agreement will be called as free trade agreement. Free trade agreements and free trade talks are symbols of growing trade relations between two countries, number one, and it is a symbol of liberalization of trade policy. That trade policy is being liberalized and free trade is being enhanced between two countries. Okay. Now, what is free trade? Please understand this also. What do you mean by free trade agreement? It is an agreement which is signed between two countries that they will have comprehensive trade deals and there will be very less restrictions. Trade and tariffs will be lower side and compliance norms will also be eased. Okay, so free trade agreement means liberalized trade policy which focuses on reducing trade barriers, which focuses on reducing custom clearance norms. It may also include reducing tariffs. Mainly the tariffs are custom duties. In import and export, mainly the taxes are custom duties. So custom duties and custom norms will be eased out, then trade policy will be liberalized and trade barriers will also be released. Okay. Now, there are different types of trade agreements like partial scope agreement, free trade agreement, custom union, market union, etc., etc. But India has major trade agreements, like one agreement is India has also a trade agreement with Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Okay, so that you call as India Association of Southeast Asian Nations free trade agreement. We have free trade agreement with ASEAN also. Okay, we have free trade. Trade agreements with India and European Union also. India and UK also. Now India is going for Israel, going for talks. We have just signed only terms of reference. As of now, we have not signed any agreement. Terms of reference have been finalized. Means now we will go for talks. If talks are finalized, then we will sign an agreement. Okay, so this is what this news is. Now, what will be the talks about? What are the terms of reference? We will talk about market access, how Indian markets will be made accessible to Israeli products and how Israeli markets will be accessible to Indian products. We will eliminate tariff and non-tariff barriers. Then also investment facilitation will also be considered. Then simplification of the custom procedures. All this is I have told you in the definition of free trade agreement. So these are the terms of reference between India and Israel free trade agreement talks. You must remember one more thing, that India is second largest trading partner for Israel after China. China is the largest trading partner in when I am talking about Asia. In Asia, India is second largest trading partner for Israel. Okay, so this was another wonderful news in which you have understood the concept of free trade agreement. Okay, now going ahead, I will talk about e-commerce firms which have declared compliance with dark pattern guidelines. Okay, first of all, you must understand what are dark patterns in e-commerce. You know, e-commerce is growing. E-commerce means commerce through electronic platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, Apple, Google. So many, e-commerce platforms are working in India. Okay, it is expected that India's e-commerce market may grow to $325 billion by 2030. India's e-commerce market may grow by $320 billion will be our e-commerce sector. E-commerce sector by 2030. This is a preliminary estimate, which means this sector is growing like anything in India. Okay. Now, there are various models of e-commerce like B2B, business to business, one company selling products to another company. B2C, business to customer, one company selling product to customer. C to C, one customer selling product to another customer. You have heard about OLX. In the same way, at global level, we have eBay. These are C to C, customer to customer platforms. Okay, then B to C, business to customer, B to B. Okay, when we talk about B to C, Amazon is the best example. Amazon is a company giving product to customer. When we talk about B to B, business to business, E-Steel, company giving to supplying steel to big construction companies. So company giving to company, B to B. C to C, consumer to consumer. I have given you already an example, that is eBay. Okay, now consumers share some softwares and other things, that is called as P2P, peer to peer, P2P. Cryptocurrency market works on P2P model of e-commerce, peer to peer, or in other words, people say it person to person. Get the point? But it is different from eBay. On eBay, the products are sold, whereas in P2P, softwares, music, intangible things are transferred. Okay. Then also M-commerce. M-commerce means using your mobile, you can share so many things. This is M-commerce. So these are the models of e-commerce in India, across the world also. Okay. But what are dark patterns? Dark patterns means in Amazon, you were searching a jacket. You are searching a jacket. Okay. And you added the jacket to your cart. Okay. When you went to bill, you have seen that along with jacket, one shirt has also been added, and I didn't add this. It has been added by the e-commerce platform itself. This was a malpractice earlier these commerce platforms were doing. These are called dark patterns. These are called dark patterns. So dark patterns are practices through which e-commerce platforms use to deceive the customers. So what is said? Dark patterns are deceptive. What is it written here? Dark patterns are deceptive practices used by online and online platforms designated to trick the users in spending when they otherwise don't want to spend, such as by creating false urgency, basket sneaking. Basket sneaking means putting products into the basket, adding items default into a user's cart, etc., etc. So these are the malpractices which are called as dark patterns. Now, the Department of Consumer in 2020, Department of Consumer Affairs in 2023 issued guidelines that all the e-commerce platforms shall comply to dark pattern guidelines, that they will not resort to this malpractice. So there is one authority, Central Consumer Protection Authority. Central Consumer Protection Authority. This authority is responsible for implementation of laws which are meant for consumer protection, and it is under Department of Consumer Affairs. Okay, it is under Department of Consumer Affairs. And also this e-commerce platforms will do through one thing that is called self-audit. They will audit themselves and they will see if any of these malpractices are being done, and they will file the self-audit report later on. So majority of the e-commerce platforms have filed the compliance report about the dark patterns, that no such practice is taking place. You must remember for prelims what is the question. Recently the term dark patterns has been seen in news. What does it mean? Okay, so there will be various options. One such option will be on dark patterns, one option will be this one. Get the point? Okay, so last news coming up, that is pharmacogenomics. Reading genes to tailor prescriptions for individuals. Okay. Now, how many of you get headaches and then you take Dolo 650 in India or paracetamol? These are called medicines which are generalized medicines. They are generalized for all. Okay. But some people get relief with these medicines. Some people also show adverse reactions to this because genetic makeup of every individual is not same. So therefore the reaction to medicine will also not be same. Therefore a new branch in medicine has emerged in the form of pharmacogenomics or pharmacogenetics. Pharmacogenomics. What is pharmacogenomics? It is the latest branch in genetics. It is the latest branch in human genetics. What is pharmacogenomics about? What is pharmacogenomics about? Pharmacogenomics is all about how we can see the genetic pattern of humans. You know, there was one product at global level which was called as Human Genome Product. Human Genome Project. To study the gene mapping, to study the genetic composition of whole population on the earth. Okay. Then we were also having India Genome Project, which has submitted its reports. Okay. That was called as Indian Genome Project. Okay. It has submitted all the data. We have completely an idea what genetic compositions are found in different populations across the country. Okay. So now what is this pharmacogenomics? It studies first of all genetic composition of the population and then prescribes medicine, tailored medicine for every genetic composition, because there are different enzymes which respond to medicines in majority of the people. One enzyme is called as cytochrome P450, CYP. That is called as cytochrome P450. That is called CYP, cytochrome P450. The enzyme of this family is called as drug metabolizing enzyme. Drug metabolism means when you take a drug, the metabolism of the drug is done by this enzyme family. And in this family, there are so many variants. Now, when there are so many variants, you cannot expect the same response from all the variant against a particular drug. You cannot expect same response. That's why drugs are to be made as per the genetic composition of an individual. So this is also called as precision medicine. The other day I told you I will discuss one day precision medicine. Precision medicine means medicine as per the tailored as per the needs of the individual based on the study of genetic composition of that individual. Sometimes some drugs show so adverse reaction and put an individual through a life-terminating disease, may cause cancer in some individuals, side effects from certain drugs. But if we will use drugs as per the genetic composition of the individual, least chance of such side effects. Now the question here arises that what is economics in this? Economics means how costly it will be. Will the people of India will be able to afford it? The answer is certainly, because if somebody gets treated for a disease throughout the year, you see the annual cost of treating a normal disease. If the drugs are being given as per the genetic composition, the treatment may not take so long. So although one time the expenditure will be huge, but it will prevent you from the year-long expenditure. So this is how it has also explained that there is simple economics. Healthcare system recognize preventing the serious adversaries. Okay, and these serious adversaries, if prevented, they will prevent you from so many expenditures which may come out of the side effects later on. Get the point? So this is all you must remember. And what are the challenges in introduction of pharmacogenomics in India? The challenges are that we don't have ample trained staff, we don't have ample training facilities, and we don't have ample awareness about people. People still use traditional medicine, people still question such researches. But these are now established researches and already they have been put into various markets. So this is all you need about pharmacogenomics, and this is the article all about. Now I will share the PDF. You read this article, you'll get thoroughly. I have also marked all the important points in the article, and I have also told you in the class, I have thoroughly explained what are the these are the challenges. Now path forward also has been given. What shall be done? That we should basically improve the testing strategies in the country, we should make awareness among the people, and we should make a fundamental shift in the perception that this thing is the need of the hour, because generalized medicines have too much of side effects as well, and they cost sometimes very heavily when they introduce a terminal disease into an individual. I hope you got the points. Everything is clear to all of you? Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll come up tomorrow with some more current affairs. Thank you so much.